Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Toby Blake, and this is my co-host, Billy. Say hi, Billy. And my other dog, Bennett, is down here hiding. He's sleeping. And this is Take Your Medicine. This is a show where Billy and I want to share our medicine with you. And by medicine, I mean our essence, our love, the things that we've learned, the things that we have to share that I feel are unique in this world that might help another person navigate this crazy world. It's just the deepest desire of my heart to really be a helper here, to bring light to the dark places, to help people feel okay in their bodies, to find their power, to find their courage, to find a sense of self-love. Those are my desires, to be a true helper on this planet. As I was thinking about what I wanted to share today, oh, Billy, I got out my old journals from the time when this spiritual awakening really started happening for me. The first set of visions I had completely unexpectedly after years of a meditation practice that I was really only doing with the intention to be more productive in my life. I owned a skincare company at the time. Shout out to Belpo Skincare, BELPEAU.com. But I was running that skincare company, and I really didn't have any interest in deepening my spiritual practice at all. And I had a set of visions, or what I would call just a giant visionary experience. It lasted about 90 minutes, and it came through the trees at a park near my house. It's a long story, and it blew my mind, and it changed my entire life. And so I opened my journals this morning, and I was reading about that time in my life and reading about those first journeys into the spirit dimensions. And wow, it's been a long road, and I want to share it with you. And one of the things that really stuck out to me that I felt impressed to share with you today is a concept called the pain body. The pain body is something that is basically a collection of all our emotions that have not been fully felt and released. So all of us have a pain body, and some are more dense. You want this way? Some are more dense than others. In addition to that, we have a feminine pain body, a female pain body, because the divine feminine has been so deeply oppressed that we as women carry this pain in the cells of our body, and we feel it, some of us more than others. There are pain bodies all over the world, but right now I would love to focus on our individual pain bodies, because in recognizing our trauma and our unhealed parts, that is where we can bring light to them and start to free ourselves, start to gain our power back, because anything that triggers us or triggers our pain body takes our power. And in learning about myself, I've realized that I have to really go throughout my life, every relationship with not only people, but things, and figure out what has my pain and also what triggers my pain body, and to go deep into that when the pain body is triggered, so that it can be fully felt and released and I can be free. So today we're on episode 10. I already crossed it off here. I'll cross it off again. Billy. We're 10th of the way there to our goal. 10 episodes down, 90 more to go. We're a 10th of the way to our goal of 100 episodes in 2024. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm so proud of us, Billy. We're really doing it. So I would like to explore some of Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth, with you today, about the pain body. I went through this morning and highlighted some parts that I would like to share with you. It's kind of a lot, but I hope you'll bear with me because this is the most important stuff I've ever read in my whole life. This book is my very favorite book of all time. I'm seeing on the back here, it says, Oprah Winfrey calls the book a wake-up call for the entire planet. One reader at a time, it helps us to distance ourselves from our egos and to open ourselves to a higher self. It helps us to stop creating our own suffering and obsessing over the past and what the future might be, and to put ourselves in the now. I mean, I can't really think of much more important than in healing ourselves and healing our planet and healing our collective human species. We're all hurting and we all need help. So this is the awareness of the pain body was really the first step in me starting to open to my own healing, because we have to become aware of what is unhealed in us. And what is unhealed in us is the pain body. All right, so individual and collective. Eckhart Tolle says about the pain body, any negative emotion that is not fully faced and seen for what it is in the moment it arises does not completely dissolve. It leaves behind a remnant of pain. Children, in particular, find strong negative emotions too overwhelming to cope with and tend to try not to feel them. We don't want to feel the negative things that are running through us. We want to stuff it down and pretend we're okay. We want to move on from it because discomfort is not fun. But anything we don't feel all the way through stays with a little bit of residue inside of us. And so it's really important to create an awareness of those things. Unfortunately, that early defense mechanism usually remains in place when the child becomes an adult. The emotion still lives in him or her, unrecognized, and manifests indirectly. For example, as anxiety, anger, outbursts of violence, a mood, or even a physical illness. Have you ever just been in a bad mood and had no idea why, or been triggered by something, or all of a sudden just feel completely enraged and you just don't even understand why? I have, and I have less and less of that in my life as I have learned to become aware of my pain body. But these are the things that we're talking about: anxiety, depression, rage issues, all kinds of issues manifest because we have all of this unhealed emotion inside of us that we're trying to keep down in it. So it's trying to seep out in toxic ways. The remains of pain left behind by every strong negative emotion that is not fully faced, accepted, and then let go, join together to form an energy field that lives in the very cells of your body. I want to reiterate that this is physical energy. This is real energy. Emotion is just as real of energy as this canvas or this body of a dog or my skin. It's a higher vibration energy, and so we can't actually see it with our eyes, but it is energy that actually lives in our cellular being. Let's see. It consists not just of childhood pain, but also painful emotions that were added to it later in adolescence and during your adult life, much of it created by the voice of the ego. It is the emotional pain that is your unavoidable companion when a false sense of self is the basis of your life. This energy field of old but still very much alive emotion that lives in almost every human being is the pain body. How the pain body renews itself. The pain body is a semi-autonomous energy form that lives within most human beings, an entity made up of emotion. It has its own primitive intelligence, not unlike a cunning animal, and its intelligence is directed primarily at survival. So it's a lower level entity that lives within our higher vibration self that is based around survival. It just wants to feed itself to stay alive. Like all life forms, the pain body periodically needs to feed, to take in new energy, and the food it requires to replenish itself consists of energy that is compatible with its own, which is to say, energy that vibrates at a similar frequency. Any emotionally painful experience can be used as food by the pain body. Since the pain body is a low vibration being, it feeds on low vibration energy, just like our low vibration thoughts. That's what it wants to feed on. That's why it thrives on negative thinking as well as drama in our relationships. The pain body is an addiction to unhappiness. One of the most painful realizations of my life was that I was addicted to unhappiness. I did not realize that unhappiness, that depression, that anxiety was my comfort zone. It had become my baseline. But in really facing that and being brave enough to really look at it, I could start to chip away at it and to open myself to joy and healing. It may be shocking when you realize for the first time that there is something within you that periodically seeks emotional negativity, seeks unhappiness. You need even more awareness to see it in yourself than to recognize it in another person. Once the unhappiness has taken you over, not only do you not want to end it, but you want to make others just as miserable as you are in order to feed on their negative emotional reactions. In most people, the pain body has a dormant and an active stage. When it is dormant, you easily forget that you carry a heavy dark cloud or a dormant volcano inside of you, depending on the energy field of your particular pain body. How long it remains dormant varies from person to person. Yes, a few weeks is the most common, but it can be a few days or months. In rare cases, the pain body can lie in hibernation for years before it gets triggered by some event. In my own life right now, it is so frustrating when my pain body gets triggered. I always just think like, okay, I'm finally to the point where I am not going to be triggered by anything. And then sure enough, the dumbest thing will trigger me. And so it is just a work in progress and a practice. And the awareness is really the key. We can't control when our pain body gets triggered, but we can control how we react to that. How the pain body feeds on your thoughts. The pain body awakens from its dormancy when it gets hungry, when it is time to replenish itself. Alternatively, it may get triggered by an event at any time. The pain body that is ready to feed can use the most insignificant event as a trigger, something somebody says or does, or even a thought. If you live alone or there is nobody around at the time, the pain body will feed on your thoughts. Suddenly, your thinking becomes deeply negative. You were most likely unaware that just prior to the influx of negative thinking, a wave of emotion invaded your mind as a dark and heavy mood, as anxiety or fiery anger. All thought is energy, and the pain body is now feeding on the energy of your thoughts. But it cannot feed on any thought. You don't need to be particularly sensitive to notice that a positive thought has a totally different feeling tone than a negative one. It is the same energy, but it vibrates at a different frequency. A happy, positive thought is indigestible to the pain body. It can only feed on negative thoughts because only those thoughts are compatible with its own energy field. So he goes into now about how these thoughts are actually physical inside of us. And I find it so interesting because oftentimes we really just don't think of our thoughts as real energy, but thoughts actually have a wattage. I can't remember what watt a regular thought has, but when we're overthinking, we are literally draining our energy battery. And so if we can learn to train our mind and be aware of our mind and quiet our mind when it needs to be quieted, we will conserve so much energy. We will have so much more power to create and do whatever we want when we learn that thoughts are real energy, and that learning to train the mind and soothe the mind and heal our hearts is the key to taking all of our power and all of our energy back, like physical energy. Then we don't need caffeine. We don't need all of these, stimulants to give us an illusion of energy. It's not necessary. I used to drink so much caffeine. I used to have like 5 or 6 cups of coffee a day. And now I don't have any caffeine. The most caffeine I'll have is like in my cup of ceremonial cacao, which is a beautiful heart-opening plant medicine that I love to drink in the mornings. But I don't drink it all the time. And sometimes it makes me a little too buzzy because I'm so sensitive and so full of energy. All things are vibrating energy fields in ceaseless motion. The chair you sit on, the book you are holding in your hands appear solid and motionless only because that is how your senses perceive their vibrational frequency. That is to say, the incessant movement of the molecules, atoms, electrons, and subatomic particles that together create what you perceive as a chair, a book, a tree, or a body. What we perceive as physical matter is energy vibrating or moving at a particular range of frequencies. Thoughts consist of the same energy vibrating at a higher frequency than matter, which is why they cannot be seen or touched. Thoughts have their own range of frequencies, with negative thoughts at the lower end of the scale and positive thoughts at the higher. The vibrational frequency of the pain body resonates with that of negative thoughts, which is why only those thoughts can feed the pain body. The usual pattern of thought creating emotion is reversed in the case of the pain body, at least initially. Emotion from the pain body quickly gains control of your thinking, and once your mind has been taken over by the pain body, your thinking becomes negative. The voice in your head will be telling sad, anxious, or angry stories about yourself or your life, about other people, about past, future, or imaginary events. The voice will be blaming, accusing, complaining, imagining, and you are totally identified with whatever the voice says. Believe all its distorted thoughts. At that point, the addiction to unhappiness has set in. It's just reminding me of all the times that I've been triggered where all of a sudden I'm completely taken over by dysregulation in my body and by negative thoughts that are convincing me that some story is true that I've made up in my mind to match the emotions of the pain body. And then that pain body just wants more and more and more. Misery loves company. Have you ever heard that? It is true. And it's because one pain body knows that it can feed off of another pain body if it triggers another. It is not so much that you cannot stop your train of negative thoughts, but that you don't want to. This is because the pain body at that time is living through you, pretending to be you. And to the pain body, pain is pleasure. It eagerly devours every negative thought. In fact, the usual voice in your head has now become the voice of the pain body. It has taken over the internal dialogue. A vicious circle becomes established between the pain body and your thinking. Every thought feeds the pain body, and in turn, the pain body generates more negative thoughts. At some point, after a few hours or even a few days, it has replenished itself and it returns to its dormant stage, leaving behind a depleted organism and a body that is much more susceptible to illness. If that sounds to you like a psychic parasite, you are right. That's exactly what it is. If we learn to really recognize these things in us, this pain body as another entity that lies dormant and that when it gets triggered, it literally takes over, then we can learn to pause, pull back, and allow whatever needs to move through, whatever emotion needs to move through without going with that trigger, without reacting in a way that will hurt our life or our family or our relationships. We can create an awareness that helps us manage when the pain body gets triggered, and that is true power. How the pain body feeds on drama. If there are other people around, preferably your partner or a close family member, the pain body will attempt to provoke them, push their buttons, as the expression goes, so it can feed on the ensuing drama. Pain bodies love intimate relationships and families because that is where they get most of their food. It is hard to resist another's pain body that is determined to draw you into a reaction. Instinctively, it knows your weakest, most vulnerable points. If it doesn't succeed the first time, it will try again and again. It is raw emotion looking for more raw emotion. The other person's pain body wants to awaken your pain body so that both bodies can mutually energize each other. If you have ever lived with a cat, you will know that even when the cat seems to be asleep, it still knows what is going on, because at the slightest unusual noise, its ears will move toward it and its eyes may open slightly. Dormant pain bodies are the same. On some level, they are still awake, ready to jump into action when an appropriate trigger presents itself. So this is the most important foundational step in learning to heal ourselves, is getting in tune with and in touch with our own pain body. All of the littlest and big experiences that have happened to us that we have not fully felt all the way through still live in us as energy, and that energy has created something that wants it's more of its same kind of energy. And so if we can really start to recognize that, we can pull back from it and take our power back. I think of something that I've told my children several times is, when something happens that is stressful or scary or upsetting, make sure you feel all the way through that experience. For instance, if someone cuts you off and almost makes you crash or something on the freeway, and it scares the living daylights out of you, and you're like, oh my God, why would you do that? Ah! You're so frustrated, you're enraged, you're mad, and it triggers all kinds of fear in you. What if this happened? What if this happened? What an idiot. Ah! If that happens, it's so important to feel all the way through that in an appropriate and a safe way. If it's not appropriate to feel all of what you need to feel about that, stick it in your back pocket for a time when it is safe to feel all the way through that experience. So if that happens on the freeway, you've got people in the car, you're headed to an appointment, you are not able to fully feel all the way through that, all of the fear, all of the anger that created in you, then when you get home from that appointment, be intentional about setting some time to close your eyes, feel what that felt like, go back and relive that experience and feel all of the feelings and explore all of the feelings. Cry, scream if you need to scream, punch some pillows if you need to punch some pillows, dance it out, get that energy out. Really love yourself all the way through that process of feeling it all the way through, and then it is released and you are free. If somebody upsets you and you decide to hold on to that, that person has your power. And so when you think you're being powerful and holding this grudge and, oh, I'm mad, I'm not talking to you, da, 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 it's actually that they are affecting your mood. Your pain body is feeding off of that. And so if you can recognize who has your power and learn to either set boundaries with that person or forgive that person, whatever you need to do to release it from your being, then you get your power back. So in my own healing journey, I have had to learn to recognize when I am triggered and dysregulated, to take some breaths, to communicate that to my partner, to really, really use intention to respond to the pain body in a way that does not feed the pain body anymore. Because what you starve dies and what you feed grows. So you need to feel everything that is triggered in the pain body, because that is the way to release it from your being. To feel it and to love it and to see it, and then to release it with love. That is how we transmute the pain body into light. That's how we take our power back from all of the painful things that have happened to us. So that is my message for today. Billy, do you have anything to add? High five? Not today. Thank you so much for being here with me and with Billy and with Bennett today. I love you. I'm here for you. And I will continue to show up and share my medicine and hope that it helps. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Take good care of yourself. Love yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, you are a badass. Be proud of yourself for everything you've overcome in your life, for everything you've accomplished. Go easy on yourself. Be kind to yourself, please. We all need more love of ourselves in our life. and more forgiveness of ourselves in our lives, and more awareness of our pain bodies in our lives so that we can take our power back. All right. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.